offense than they had last year. They're leading the league in scoring. They're the only team averaging over 30 points a game this season. Are they going to the Super Bowl? Wouldn't that be so? Just let's take a minute for that. They held Dak to under 200 yards while completing 50% of his passes. Not great. So the defense, the secondary, that looks like it could give you a Super Bowl run. The deflating thing, the Aidan Hutchinson situation. Friend of the show, Aidan Hutchinson. Chasing down records, chasing down quarterbacks, nightmare. Doing ballet and State Farm commercials with Jake. Had emergency surgery in the Dallas area last night on this tibia. Okay, compound fracture last night. He knew he broke it. He said he broke it. We are sending all of our thoughts to him. One of the truly dominant, great players, worth his weight and draft pick. Like, he is unbelievable. And I don't have an answer for what this looks like going forward, but I know Kuechly does, and he's joining us in a little bit with that. The Lions, though, they moved to within a game of the Vikings. And what's a real loaded NFC North this year, and they came out winning. You know, did they really win, or they're just treading above water here? All four teams have at least 4 wins. That has never happened through 6 weeks since the divisions were realigned back in 2002. And all of this morning, the Lions are the favorites to win the North at plus 135, even with the Hutchinson injury. We didn't have the odds. I just saw them for the first time. They weren't updated yet, post-Hutchinson tibia surgery. The Vikings, 5-0 start, too. Hard to account for, hard to argue against them and how they looked yesterday. But none of these 4 are going away quietly, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And for the Cowboys, what do you say? Kuechly, how do we fix them? I don't know. They're 3-3. I'm not surprised the defense struggled without Micah Parsons against a very, truly, like, transcendent, dunking on people offense. But I'm stunned that there's just no juice to the offense right now. What does it mean when an offense doesn't have juice? 4th time in 6 weeks that they've been held to 20 points or fewer, and it's almost inexplicable how bad they've been in their own building this year. After winning 16 straight in Jerry World, they've now lost 4 consecutive home games. They've been just getting smacked, okay? If you look at this, going back to that Packers playoff loss, they've lost by an average of 20 points per game when they've played at home. They're scoring 2 fewer touchdowns a game, 2 fewer than they did over that winning streak. Ooh, I mean, that was their safe haven. Now it's a Spooktober, Taylor Lewan nightmare. We have Jerry Jones, by the way, on, I think, just like debating, considering a coaching change after what happened. I mean, it was the man's 82nd birthday. Let's take a listen.
I'm not considering that. Just so you're clear, I'm not considering that.
But you've done it once before.
I wouldn't be a hypothetical in that matter. Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you? Okay, well, I'm not going hypothetical with you about when I'd consider coaching change in light of the timing we're sitting here with. I'm not at all.
The tremendous Judy Batista of NFL Media there, ESPN's star, Kimberly Martin in the back there, just like, ooh, little soundbite right here. Yeesh. So no coaching change. Got it. We get it, Jerry. The Cowboys do have a bye week coming up. It's Al McCarthy and company to find some answers. I don't know what. I mean, it just looks, there's nothing worse than being uninspired, right? When you're looking like, where's the mojo? Where's the get up? You got to get up. There's a thing, Hamilton, called fake energy that I'm a master of. So I got nothing for these performances because the lights come on and you can have a migraine like I do now and you got to do a freaking show. Like the lack of, how are you an NFL team that feels flat when you have everything at your disposal, whether it's gratitude, whether it's motivation, contract, Super Bowl, pressure, window, 82-year-old owner, coach being talked about and questioned, smelling salts, oxygen tank. Like, you can get up for this game. What's the problem?
It's a great question. It's really hard to figure out. And you wonder if all the contract stuff this offseason had something to do with it. You know, the statements that Jerry had to make about some of these guys as they went through their contract situations, if that took a toll. Again, I'm speculating there, but this was a weird offseason for Dallas, and it's translated into the season now, and it seemed like the focus was on everything else but football for 6 months with them. And now that it's time to play the games, they seem almost disinterested out there. It was so weird to watch.
But they also seem disinterested in like adding the spark.
Yeah.
You know, like go buy the carton of Celsius. put it in the locker room, Jerry. Go get to Costco, Sam's Club, whatever it takes. And he's not picking up the phone. I haven't heard him interested in any sort of a spark. What a shame right now to sort of, I don't even know, squander. And I said it a lot, and I got laughed. 9.5 is it still 9.5? 9.5 is
up there this morning.
9.5 is. You still taking over?
I can after what I saw yesterday.
No, I'm not taking a victory lap.
I
want them to get it together. The world's better when the Cowboys are good. And Stephen A. does those like laughing videos. Nobody needs those. Come on, Cowboys, get it together. I don't know where the juice is. Go buy something. I almost made so many drug references right now, and I'm so glad that I didn't. But I also like how you hedge some. You go, I'm just speculating, just in case somebody puts it on the internet.
After Costasgate, I got to be careful.
Listen, should we talk about the Bears? How about the Bears?
Let's do it.
NFC North huge right now. So they go to London. This is Jags' home turf here. And they took care of business. They've now won, and we said this last week, they've won 3 straight. They pulled it off for the first time since 2020. Took a couple of weeks. Caleb Williams feeling it right now, feeling himself. He's looking like a #1 overall pick. 4 touchdowns tossed, completing just under 80% of his passes. This is what I loved. All I want is you to get better every week. Winning 3 in a row is amazing. He had some icing on the cake, too. I kept seeing him on the scroll on Red Zone, like he had all the rushing yards. He's right up there with Derrick Henry. And I was like, okay. Big-time performances. He's just stacking them up. This is his 2nd straight game. He looked incredible. And over the last 2 weeks, Caleb has the highest passer rating and completion percentage in the entire NFL, ranking 2nd in touchdown passes, 7th in yards. It's all started to click, and it's another reminder of why we shouldn't have a quarterback after his first 2 or 3 games in the I would say after the first season probably in the NFL. The Rook's dealing right now, okay? Confidence a huge part of that. Defense has been outstanding, ranking in the top 5 so far this year. Bears 4-2. 4-2 Chicago Bears heading into the bye. Love that, and they're a long shot, by the way. If you look at FanDuel Sportsbook, they've got plus 900 odds to win the division. But I think they're gaining momentum. I don't think we've seen their best football yet, so I'm actually very interested in those odds. Okay, short break here. We're going to talk Luke Kuechly, Aidan Hutchinson. We're going to talk a little bit about last night. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cowboys. Like, I have heavy homework for you today, Luke. We got to fix some teams in the NFL. Is there any way you can pull up the Taylor Lewan, Dan Lanning thing from the field at Oregon? Yeah, like the bussin' with the boys and Will. Thank you. You know what would be really helpful, Kat? If you could just tell me the teams on a bye. Yeah, who's on a bye this week? Also, is there a photo of Coach Eberflus? I would love to see that. Bears Cowboys. That's it, just them? So who's got, Hammy, who's got the easier road? I mean, if you give me $1 million, the Yankees are playing
the Cleveland Guardians, and the Mets have the Dodgers. So it should be easier for the Yankees. They won the season series against Cleveland. Obviously, the Dodgers are loaded right now. Their pitching's been awesome.
Who's playing the Dodgers?
Could be the Mets.
Oh, that's not a fun one. It's kind of a fun one.
That's tough, yeah. It was 9-0 last night that they lost to the Dodgers, so they'll try to rebound tonight.
They lost 9-0
Not gonna be
to
easy.
the Mets?
No, the Dodgers beat the Mets 9-0.
Oh. Because of Kike?
Yeah. Because of Kike. Yep,
Does this
entirely.
Is this Kike pitching also?
No.
He's never pitched?
I think he's come in and some of those mop-up. I think he came in those mop-up
situations. I did a whole deep dive.
When they're up by
do you know why I did a deep dive? I did a deep dive because I'm used to, baseball players are sort of one way, in my experience. And to see, and I gotta say, I don't know if people hate the Dodgers. Are the Dodgers well-liked?
No. Not really.
Okay.
Those big market.
Which team left is well-liked? I mean, the Yankees are the number one not liked.
Yeah.
And then
I think people are having fun with the Mets right now. The whole, the grimace thing, all that. I feel like the Mets have been a fun story this year. So I feel like
the Mets have their dream ride.
But they're still New York,
happening.
so people don't really like them. Yeah.
I love Citi Field. Highest payroll in baseball for Mets. Oh, he's saying true underdog. I mean, they have no celebrity fans. Seinfeld, who's that? That's not. There's no muscle there.
Yeah.
Interesting. You guys told me who won this whole thing last year, and I couldn't tell you. Diamondbacks.
Get into that in a second. Oh, here's a little trickery. Straight Brown back to God. Flea flickers. Got Laporta wide open. Sam Laporta foot race towards the end zone. Diving touchdown. Unreal.
The Rangers won the World Series last year. For anybody who did not know that. Okay, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the NFL with five-time first-team All-Pro linebacker, Panthers radio analyst, a nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Nominee, just let's throw that out the window. Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, Luke Kuechly. How are you? What's going on?
Would you like to? Good. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm good. I don't think you're so good because I'm going to give you some real tough ones today, okay? I know you got your notes. You're very diligent. You're very thoughtful, very mindful about everything. But these Cowboys, we got to fix them because now you're not just part of the Panthers ecosystem. You're part of the health of the entire NFL relies on this team giving us something, at least in the regular season, and taking a 38-point loss at home where you're notoriously better to the Lions is crazy. Jerry says it's concerning. He's not considering a coaching change. What'd you make of that?
I think losing at home the way they have this year, I'm sure is something that they didn't anticipate coming into the season. But you look at them on the offensive side of the ball, and that's kind of where they have all their money tied up. Dak and CD, obviously, this offseason. I think the one thing that's hurt them is they haven't really been able to run the ball, and a lot of the offense has been put on Dak's shoulders this year. It says, hey, we got rid of Zeke a couple years ago, and then we had Tony Pollard come in, and he was a really good player. We didn't go get a guy in free agency with Derrick Henry. There was a big conversation about that. And quite frankly, I think the defense has struggled this year. And with no run game, everything's been put on Dak's shoulders. And I think, I'd be lying if I didn't say that. I'm sure he feels the pressure to know if we don't go down and score touchdowns and put points up on the board, we're going to have a very difficult time winning games.
There was no juice, Luke. How insulting is that as somebody who played to be said that you don't have juice, or there can't be. What's worse than that? Being called soft probably is worse than that. But no juice is that's a huge indictment, and that's what it looked like last night.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Well, you looked at Detroit running the ball, and I think when you say no juice, that's a decision that you make before you go play the game. How hard am I going to play? How much energy are we going to have? And ultimately, that's what juice is. So yeah, I think. If you just get beat and a guy runs by you, that's one thing. If you get out schemed, sometimes that happens. But if you don't bring the energy and you don't bring the passion and you don't bring what everyone's talking about, the juice, that's a decision that gets made by the players. And that's something that you don't want to hear about in the locker room is, hey, you guys didn't play with any juice. But I tell you what, Detroit's offensive line is really good. They're physical. They run the ball. They pop 5, 6, 7, 8 yard runs. It seems like every other play. Dallas hasn't played great defensively, and they haven't played great offensively as well. But I think a lot of it, too, is I think Detroit might just be really good.
I like that take. But the Cowboys are 3-3. So to me, and I know we're not, and their defense is not great.
Yeah.
If your defense isn't great, then you really got to commit to the run. Because you got to just keep your defense off the field. They're not doing that. If they're not committing to, but I don't understand what's so hard about committing to the run. I want to understand. I want to have compassion for this. But to me, I'm like, we got to run. We're not running. Coordinator change, potentially. Is that something that you would be shocked to see?
I think it comes down to who's calling plays. If Mike McCarthy's calling plays, I don't think you can really make a coordinator change. I don't see him handing over play calling duties, but you're 100% right. If you're struggling on defense, the offense has to slow the game down, limit possessions, don't go quickly 3 and out. And I think you have the ability to commit to the run and run the ball early in the game when it's close. And if you run it on first down and you get 2 yards and you run it again on second down and get 2 and it's 3rd and 6 and you punt, that's when it gets challenging because it's 3 and out, ball back to Detroit. They go down, score. You get the ball again, 3 and out. They go down and score. And now you're like, man, we can't really run the ball because we're down 2 scores. We can't get stops on defense. We have to go down and score points. And then it just slowly starts to deteriorate as the game goes on. And they're in a difficult spot and not too dissimilar to where my Panthers are right now, where we feel like we got to score every drive because we've been so banged up on the defensive side of the ball. And you talked about it already on the show today with Micah Parsons being out, Kendricks was out. They're hurting right now on the defensive side of the ball.
Cowboys fans are going to collectively lose their minds when this clip goes out and you say they're in the same spot as my Panthers, who made a quarterback.
It sounded bad.
No, but it's not. I mean, it's not nothing against the Panthers, but 2 teams in very different situations. The Cowboys, they gotta go to a Super Bowl and win it, and you're saying they're having the same problems as the Panthers.
Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, they've had a difficult time, and they've struggled at home. They've given up 30 plus on multiple occasions. They played the Saints, and Saints scored over 40 on them. Detroit scores over 40 on them, and you wonder, is that offensive style difficult for them? You look at what the Saints do. Kubiak, they're going to run it sideways. They're going to shift. They're going to motion. It's wide zone. It's mid zone. It's heavy play action. That's kind of what Detroit is. So you look at what they have next week as well. Obviously, they go into the bye week. They're going to see a very similar offense with the Niners. So you'd like to say, hey, we saw it this past week. Hopefully we can make adjustments and fix it going forward.
Brian Schottenheimer not calling plays. McCarthy is. But if I'm correct, I think I'm correct, Schottenheimer's sort of history as a play caller does lean on the run. He likes the run. He commits to the run. So maybe there is at least a conversation, or maybe there is some sort of adjustment where Schotty, I don't know how to say it, I'm going to get killed on the internet probably, but just maybe lends a hand more in making that happen. This is a team that we need to, is this a playoff team? Is this team going to the playoffs?
This is take a book from Joe Burrow. Right now, they don't look like a playoff team, but they have guys in their team that can take them there. And they're 3-3. They're going into a bye week. Obviously, the NFC East is a little bit up for grabs. I think Washington's a pretty daggone good team, but 7 playoff teams. You just got to go into the bye week. You're 3-3, make some adjustments, and then second half of the season, make a push.
I love the Lions. All morning, I'm like, Lions. And then I know I'm like having to get to the Aidan part. And he's out. Maybe he'll be back if they make a run. I'm reading your face right now.
It bums you out. Like, as a football fan, he embodies that team, that city, that organization, Dan Campbell. He is that. Went to school in Michigan. Got drafted by the Lions, was there when they started to turn that place around. He's not like a pretty pass rusher. He doesn't have a million moves. He is physical. He plays really hard. His effort and his tenacity are fantastic. And it bums me out. I mean, obviously it stinks for the fan base, organization, the guys in the team, but you can tell how much he loves playing football. And when something like that happens, it just hurts my heart when these guys can't keep playing. It just bums me out.
What does this defense look like without him? How big of a knock is it? Do they have the depth? Give me give me the nitty-gritty, the lingo. I'll kind of sort of understand. Go ahead, Luke.
I don't think that they've got another guy on the other side that can go get you 8 to 10 sacks.
Yeah.
Which I think is okay, because it's going to be, all right, Aaron Glenn, let's see how we can manufacture some sacks from some different guys. I mean, they're not going to replace the 10 that he's going to get the rest of the season with one guy, but can they get one from Anzalone? Can they get one from Campbell as an off-the-ball player? They got a couple guys. Aleen McNeil has really come on. Can DJ Reader go steal you one on a third down? Can you draw up a pressure from Brian Branch out of the slot? And then before you know it, you got 6-7 sacks that you're relying on from Aidan Hutchinson. Obviously he had a pretty substantial injury, but if I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm like, hey, Aidan, whenever you can, whatever capacity you can do, we'd love to have you around the facility as much as you can, just because I feel like his personality is probably infectious and the guys love him, and I'm sure it'll be helpful for him in his rehab. I know being hurt stinks, but the more you're around the guys, the better you do as a player. But also, I just think that his energy in general is still going to be helpful for that team.
Is it easier to manufacture sacks than it is to manufacture leadership and energy?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think you have your leaders on your team that are who they are.
Yeah.
You know, we had Thomas Davis and Greg Olsen, Ryan Khalil and Cam, and if you told me, hey, you got to go replace, 10 tackles and a sack and blah, 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 because Thomas isn't playing, I'm like that's going to be tough, but we'll figure it out. If you told us, hey, Thomas can't come in the building the rest of the year, I'd be like, that's a problem. And I'm sure it's the same way with him.
Okay, all in all, net, right? You have his production, we can't pretend it's like they're so much better than everybody because the NFC North looks crazy. Should they pick up the phone? And I don't know who's representing. No, we don't need this yet. I don't know who's representing Hassan Reddick right now. CAA parted ways with him. I don't know what he's thinking. Do they pick up the phone? Do they call the Raiders? Do they try to get Max Crosby? Do they try to figure out a way with Hassan Reddick, who I'm being told has Rosenhaus, I believe, taking his calls?
If you put Max Crosby on that team, I think it'd be awesome for this year. And then could you imagine those two guys moving forward being on the same team? That would be unbelievable. How cool would that be?
Okay, to every Lions fan, just look at Luke. Look at Luke's
so
face.
cool.
This is the most Luke has smiled in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Look at, do you think it's...
You just got those guys play so hard.
Yeah. Max Crosby went to Michigan, Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, didn't he go to Eastern Michigan?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Eastern Michigan.
Yeah.
Wait, let's get this in the works. Although Max, he's got that tattoo. He's saying he doesn't want to move. So we're not going to speculate. We're just dreaming.
How Aidan is as Aidan is as a Detroit Lion, Max is a Raider.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't imagine him somewhere. And he's happy and he's great there. I probably shouldn't have even said that. Okay, but I do want to look at those odds that we just looked at because it's squeaky, this NFC North. There's not much room here. After week 6, the Vikings are on a bye. Lions, Bears, Packers, they all get big wins. 4 wins at least a piece. Pick one team out of these 4 that you have the most faith in right now to make a run.
Ooh. I'm going to say Detroit because they've done it before. And then
now you can't pick 2. You're picking 1.
I know. I'm gonna go Detroit. I'm gonna go Detroit right now. I love Dan Campbell.
Even without Aidan Hutchinson, you're still picking Detroit.
I'm gonna go Detroit right now.
All right, I love that. Let's flip over to the NFC with Luke Kuechly here. The Eagles, close win over the Browns. A.J. Brown, big game. Something's funky with the offense. I don't know how to explain it. What did you see? There were boos in the game, and then Sirianni and all this stuff. What's going on in Philly?
I think. Look at Big Dom. He's back on the sideline. I'm sure he's so thrilled. But Sirianni. That's how Eagles fans are. We played there my rookie year, and they were booing Andy Reid and chanting "Fire Andy" my rookie year. It's it's not unique to him, and they've struggled. And
okay, but hold on, Andy Reid did not then turn around to the crowd and start saying whatever. So
yeah,
it's not the same thing. That's very different what we saw.
Yeah,
yesterday.
I think it's a tough look. I think you stay locked in and continue to coach the game and put your headset on and keep calling plays. But I think the Eagles fans are frustrated. They struggled at the end of last season. They lost 5 of 6 and lost the playoff game, and they're 3-2 this year. And like you said, the offense hasn't clicked yet. And AJ Brown came back last week, which is good. Dallas Goedert went out, but you're 3-2. You've got dudes all over the place. You got Saquon, you got Goddard, you got the 2 receivers. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I sometimes think when you have the success that you do on certain teams, when things start to kind of fall off a little bit, I think frustration comes in from the fan base. And I think sometimes as a team like Philly, if you've got confidence in how you run your system and who you are, I think you just got to kind of ride it out and say, hey, as the season continues to develop and we have a new team every year, we're going to figure this out.
I think they could go to the Super Bowl. I think they could figure things out, get on the same rhythm. They've got the talent to do it. They've been there before, which is the same argument you used for the Lions. But after a win like this, which is great, it's a win. I don't know how to feel, and I'm thinking about it in terms of Thomas Dimitroff, who was on my show a couple of weeks ago. He, of course, loses to the Patriots 28-3, all of that. And I asked him, if you're Howie Roseman, you build together this talented roster, now you're watching it not really fulfill its potential. What do you do? And his answer wasn't anything about the coach or Howie, or he said, we underestimate, and he could speak to this, and so can you. We underestimate the Super Bowl hangover, and it's lasting. Do you think that has anything, as someone who's been in that position, do you think there's anything here to that where we're trying to make sense of where's the accountability? What is out of rhythm? Why does it feel funky?
I think maybe for a year you deal with that, but also I think that you've got all these guys. We got AJ Brown, we've got Saquon Barkley, we got Jalen Hurts, we got all these guys, and those guys come back every year. But I think that the guys that you don't talk about are the people that don't come back. And I think, I don't know how much this has to do with it, but their rock on that team for, 14 years, Jason Kelce, he's not there anymore. So how much of the dynamic between the players and the coaches was controlled by Kelce? How much did he help that offense? How much did he provide leadership, not only on the team in the building, but to the coaches as well? That's something that I don't know. But what I will say is there's such a difference on teams each year from the team you had the previous year, whether that's good or bad. And sometimes it takes, a little bit of time to figure out where everybody fits.
They lost leaders on both sides. I think, Jason Kelce, I think, affected every phase of the game, and both of those things we talked about, Aidan Hutchinson being an absolute gamer, a hole you can't fill, and then also a leader. And then you lose Fletcher Cox on the other side of the ball, so you lose two true leaders on both sides of the ball. It's hard for me to make excuses because their team is loaded, and I'm seeing Kansas City struggle with every little thing and injury, and they're down to my 7th cousin is catching routes from Patrick Mahomes out there and Lee Summit, and they're okay. So if we were to put it on, not put it on something like blame something, but do you think it's Jason Kelce? Do you think it's the play calling? Do you think it's Jalen? What is it when you're watching these games?
It looks like they, I think sometimes when you bring a guy in like Saquon, how are we going to get him the ball? How are we going to get him the ball? We need to throw it to him. We need to hand it to him.
Both.
And
a lot.
Sometimes do you just find a way to let the game come to these guys? And maybe that's some of it right now of let's just call plays. Let's call the best plays we have. We'll have a couple plays to get the ball to each one of our guys, but let's not force stuff to people when it's not there.
Okay, let's move on to the Browns here. Actually, I don't want to talk about the Browns. I'm going to talk about the Ravens. Top of the AFC North. They get the win over the Commanders. Lamar Jackson throws for over 300 yards again. Second time in his career he's thrown for 300-plus yards in back-to-back weeks. He's already won 2 MVPs, Luke. Lamar even better this year?
Well, I think I think so. I think he's starting to get into the prime of his career, and they've obviously brought Derrick Henry in. I think Monken's done a great job, but now look at who he's got on the offensive side of the ball. I think, Mark Andrews has been really good, but now Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, in that 12 personnel set they have, they can run all their run game stuff. They can be big. They can go power football. They can put Pat Ricard in, and they're not limited as a receiver from the receiver threat with having two tight ends in Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I think everybody in the NFL would love to have both those guys. But, I mean, all Lamar has really ever done is win games and score points and go to the playoffs. I mean, he's been, I think, 5 out of his 7 years in the NFL, the Ravens have gone to the playoffs. So
yeah,
I just think they're big, they're physical, they know what they are. Lamar's a problem.
Yeah,
and
I think what you're saying is interesting and crazy because, well, firstly, Todd Monken lets the game come to Lamar. It's very obvious. So what you're saying about the Eagles, we're seeing how successful it can be in a place like Baltimore. The other thing that's crazy is that you're saying that he's getting into the prime of his career and he has 2 MVPs already, and then he's getting better, and I think you're right, and I just think that's terrifying. And as we said, we both agreed last week, like, what a dangerous squad.
Yeah, I just think that Lamar, like, I don't really know him very well. I think Lamar just cares about winning football games. Like, if he has to be 15 of 22 for 150 yards and 1 touchdown, but inside the 10-yard line, they run the ball and score 4 touchdowns. I just don't think he cares. I think he just wants to win football games, go to the playoffs, and win a Super Bowl. I don't think it matters to him how he does it.
And they might do that this year, which would be crazy. Derrick Henry looks unbelievable. Okay, we're going to take a short break here. We're going to get to the smartest play of the week. We've got some Twitter questions for Luke, which I'm sure he's going to enjoy. I haven't seen them yet. And we've got hunches for Monday Night Action as well. Oh, man. That's great stuff. I don't see them. Can you tell me where I could find them? Okay, we have some tweets that the producers pulled for Luke Kuechly. Let's do this. Let's see. Can you guys put it up? Okay, perfect. Kuechly, who's your DPOY so far this year? Thanks, Alex. Ooh, this is tough.
I wish we could say Aidan Hutchinson. Wish we could say him.
Oh, we can't say him. Do we have the odds? There we go. Pick one, babe. Let's go.
Ooh. I think TJ Watt might get his first one this year.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought he had one. Didn't he have one?
Does he have one?
He has one, I think. Hammy? No, I think he has at least one. I know.
Yeah, he has one.
He has one.
Okay,
which is kind of crazy that he has just one.
That's what I mean. I think maybe he gets another one then.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to go TJ Watt. I like that call. Okay, let's see. This is from Kenny saying, if you had a sandwich named after you, what would it be called and what would be on it?
Oh, my gosh. What would I put on a good sandwich?
Oh, come on.
I love a good Reuben.
Such a Kuechly answer.
That's a good sandwich.
That is the
Reuben
most.
Sandwich on some
If you and I went to lunch,
and
I picked what you were going to eat, Reuben would be one of my top 3 choices. I would say, like, you're a club sandwich guy. Maybe not.
Club sandwich, triple decker.
Triple decker. I just feel like something very clean, very, like, straight to the point.
If you're gonna go to a deli, you can't go clean though. You gotta go like Katz's Deli in Manhattan.
Yeah.
One of those big dogs. Those are good.
What do you have a nickname? That's what we should call. What's your nickname? That's what we'll call the sandwich.
I don't have anything good for you.
You don't have any nicknames?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if that's true. You just don't want to tell us. Okay. Cactus wants to know what do you bench post retirement? Okay.
Not enough. Just enough that I don't get hurt. I'm not popping a peg. I'm not getting hurt. I'm done with that.
What's a peg? Popping a peg means what?
My pec, my chest. I can't pop one of those.
You're not going to give me a number? Come on. What?
Biggest fish.
Biggest fish you ever caught?
I caught a king salmon in Alaska. We went up there. When would that have been? That would have been back when I was in college. We caught king salmon.
Which is how big? How big is that?
They're probably 25 to 30 pounds.
How big? Show me.
Big. They just keep growing.
Like
If you
4
have
feet
a
tall?
fish picture.
Like K
What's that?
size? Like as tall as me?
Not quite that big. They're out
Okay.
there. They're that big, but not on our boat.
They're out there. Doesn't have a nickname. Goes to Cass's Deli. Won't tell you how much he benches. World. There you go. There's your tweets. All right, we're gonna get back on the air here. Geekly nod for the meekly. Probably pretty geekly. Moment of genius. Luke, I want to know the smartest thing you saw all weekend.
Well, Brian Branch had 2 picks this week. One was at the end of the game, but the first one was in the first quarter in the red zone right here. So
Woohoo!
he's a flat defender right there, and he understands that, hey, this is Dak's third read, so he's going to go high to intermediate to low. So I don't have to go jump the flat right now. I can go jump the flat when Dak takes his eyes off his second read because I know he's going to the third read. So he sits there, he waits for Dak. Dak puts his eyes on that corner route and floats it up, and he makes a heck of a play. But look at him. He sits there in the flat. He understands I have some time. I'm going to sink underneath this 7 cut, and I'm sure Dak wanted a little bit more air on that ball. But I tell you what, Brian Branch is a smart player. He was at Bama. I know we loved him here in Carolina. Just a really good heady play by him, and I think he's a fantastic nickel. So hopefully we need him to step up his pressure game in the Aidan Hutchinson loss.
2 interceptions, 4 fumbles, 6 tackle, quarterback hit, and a game ball courtesy of Dan Campbell, which you love to see. Anything else you want to talk about before we get to hunches? Do you want to talk about the Panthers? What was your big takeaway?
Xavier Legette, another touchdown, and I think Chuba Hubbard has done a fantastic job for us this year. I think our offensive line has done a great job, but Chuba came in and sat behind Christian for a little while, and all he's ever done since he's been here is work his butt off. We brought Miles Sanders in last year, gave him a big deal. All Chuba did was work hard, earned the starting job, and he's had a great start to the season. I think he's 3rd or 4th in rushing yards in the NFL right now.
He's incredible to watch, and definitely a bright spot. We need, I'm looking for sparks on teams like the Cowboys, and it is nice to say that the Panthers have one, and it is Chuba, and he's a friend of the show, which is awesome.
Great.
Are things getting better every week? Do you feel like the energy getting, are we finding our way in Carolina?
I'll tell you what, we've had a lot of injuries, which is unfortunate, but now we're getting a chance to see some of the young guys that we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to do. Trevin Wallace has stepped in. He made his second start this past week. He had 15 tackles his first start in Chicago last week, And then another guy, Brady Christensen, that was a big part of our offense going into the start of last season, that got hurt, missed the rest of the season. We brought in the 2 guards, so his playing time wasn't there. And then Corbett goes down, which obviously is a huge loss for us. But then again, we get an opportunity to see a guy that we otherwise wouldn't see, that I know our team likes. He's a great dude, and it's good for Brady as well to put some tape out there. I think he's going to be a free agent this offseason. So, yes, it's been a bummer. It's been unfortunate, but we're getting a really good opportunity to see some of these young guys we otherwise wouldn't have the chance to see.
I love that. Some positive notes going forward on those Panthers. Joe Flacco, OG, we got to love him. Your face lights up. He throws for 2 touchdowns. He takes down the Titans. The Colts, they're sitting there at 3-3. They're right back. And the AFC is weird. They're in the mix here. Tell me this. Riddle me this. Should Shane Steichen stick with Flacco?
I see no reason not to. I mean, they're winning games, and Anthony Richardson obviously had that hip a couple weeks ago that, is it 100% better? And a large part of, I think, why they drafted Anthony Richardson was his ability to run. And if one of the big reasons why you drafted him, he isn't able to do right now, I think you start Flacco. And watching Flacco, I think he's probably having so much fun. There's no pressure on him, and he's been in the league forever. He's made a bunch of money. He's won a Super Bowl. He's at this point in his career, I bet he's like, you know what? I never anticipated having this opportunity again. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to sling it. I'm going to have a ton of fun and see where it puts me.
The control room is asking, what does he do well? What does he do? What's working for him? What does he do? People wax poetically about the Staffords and that. What does Flacco do so well?
I think that he knows what he is. I think he knows how he's going to have success. I'm sure he's got a great feel for that offense and what makes it go. I think Shane Steichen's done a good job. But I think when you get to the point where Flacco is, you've got an answer for everything that a defense is going to throw at you. You might not be able to make the throws that you used to be able to. You might not be able to run as well as you used to be able to. But that football mind of his is probably the best that it's ever been. He's, no,
you're right. It's the not giving an effedness. Just say it.
Care.
Luke. That's it.
Have fun.
He's like, we don't care. It's what the Dodgers just said when they advanced, right? They're like, we don't care what we're thought of or whatever. I think he cares. There has to be like something for the teammates and stuff that he feels, but he has that self-assuredness and self-awareness. I think that's really interesting. You said football mind. What are the chances? We dial up some packages. Flacco's in there, Richardson's in there. Let's go.
What if you threw a swing pass to him? You imagine trying to tackle him on a perimeter?
No one loves a swing pass like Luke Kuechly. Why are you obsessed with swing passes?
Swing passes. You know what? He can run it. He can throw it. It puts stress on the defense. I don't know.
Listen, Flacco and Lamar, didn't they do that in 2018? They used both of them out there. They did.
Yeah, it was. Was that his rookie year? We played them.
Hamilton, do you know? Hamilton, you can come in here. Hamilton knows better than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his rookie year, and yes, you did play them that year.
We played him, and he wasn't in a whole lot, and we were thrilled that he wasn't in the game.
So why don't we let's Steichen dial it up? I think he's the genius, the creative, whatever. Like I would be down for that. The swing pass.
Give it to him. Give it to him in space. Make him go tackle that guy.
Hamilton, don't go anywhere. Let's do some hunch time before we let Luke go. Hamilton not only knows that you played in 2012 in that game because he's a sick pup, he also sifted through 500-plus props on FanDuel Sportsbook, and he's going to hit us with the best ones. What do you got?
All right, there's no over-under on swing passes for tonight, but Luke, I'll start with you. We do have Aaron Rodgers passing yards. His line's at 213.5. What's your hunch? Does he go over or under that?
I'm thinking that he goes over. I think he's heard enough about how bad their offense has been this week. Coaching change. I think he's going to come out and have a big game. I'm
worried about him. I'm going to say under, just to motivate him,
no.
just to give him a little something extra to go way over that tonight. I'd like to see the Jets. I'd like to see the Jets not be a story for another week. Ham, you go.
All right, Kay, your turn. After that wild streak of touchdowns we saw from Josh Allen, he hasn't punched one in on the ground since week 1. What's your hunch? Do we see him run one in tonight against this Jets defense?
I feel like they're trying to save his legs up a little bit. But they need to not do that, especially under the bright lights with the first place division situation on the line tonight. James Cook, by the way, banged up. And so I'm going to see, what is it, plus 150? Plus 150 to get in the end zone? Absolutely, I'm taking that.
I'm gonna take it too.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm gonna take it too.
All right, Luke. Last one for you. Bills are 1.5-point favorites on the road. It was 2.5 last night, moved to 1.5 this morning. What's your hunch? Who gets the win?
I think the Bills get the win, and if it's just at 1.5, I think you got to take it.
I'm not going to argue with Luke. What do you got, Hammy?
All right, okay. Last one for you. We're going to switch it up a little bit for tonight. Instead of first touchdown scorer, just give me one anytime touchdown scorer for the Jets.
Oh, my gosh. Can we just, use Breece Hall? He's the first one on this list, -1. Can we just having him not score in 3 weeks is crazy. But also the Bills aren't great against the run. They're having a little trouble containing them, especially ones that can catch at the backfield like Breece Hall can do. Can we get this going? I think we see Breece get a touchdown in this one. Who do you think? Let's do the list again for Luke to pick. Who you got, Luke?
Ooh. If you go Breece Hall, I'll go Braylon Allen. I think they get near the goal line and big power physical running back. I think they punch one in with him.
Well, if you don't go with my answer, go with Luke Kuechly's, everybody. Amazing. Appreciate it. And by the way, there is an Up and Adams giveaway tonight. All you have to do is reply to a tweet that we just put out on Twitter, and you have to, you put down your first touchdown scorer, I think, just like we just told you, and you have a chance to win $100 in bonus bets. Kuechly, you are the best. We will talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I need to get your Halloween costume next time. I have all sorts of things in my head we need to talk about. We will be back to go over a couple other games. By the way, Colts hosting the Dolphins next week. Hamilton, you freak. You freak of nature.
with the Flacco thing?
You
and
texted
Luke?
me, and I'm like trying to sell it like it's my idea, and it's obviously not. So I'm gonna just get in here and explain this. I'm like, oh yeah, they did it in 2012, as if I would know that. Give me a break. Can you explain men to me? I know the boys, right? Ever so often, something I have men figured out, and then like I see like what happened after the Oregon game, and like. Can you just explain, like, what is this? Just the shoving, like, I thought they were fighting. I'm like, who is he mad at? I truly don't know how to understand this. What is this? What is this animal behavior? Animals.
When you're amped up, you sometimes you just got to put hands on somebody. That's how it goes.
So the Aaron and Salah thing, this is what this looks like to me. This is the exact same thing except a little more chutzpah.
Yeah, sometimes, that's why I try not to read into, and Max Crosby, you saw it with Mike Caldwell yesterday, you try not to read too much into that stuff. Sometimes you just want to put hands on somebody and shove.
Truly, I watched it. You know how I feel about Coach Lanning. So this clearly hit my algorithm. And I was watching it, and I didn't even realize that it was Taylor and Will first. But the cop's right there, and the cop's like me. The cop's like, what's happening here?
And I got to tell you, this wasn't even in my algorithm, and it was in yours, which I think says a lot.
Yeah,
I'm just getting
Lanning fan. Didn't Bo Nix babysit his children?
Yeah, that's what he was telling us. Right?
Don't ask me about 2012 Lamar and Joe. You ask me about anything Lanning, I'll tell you who's in the LCS. Yeah. Luke was good.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of. Him saying the thing about sticking with Flacco is big.
Yeah, that was big. Comparing the Cowboys to the Panthers.
Is Jordan back today? Okay, cool. Drake London's on the show tomorrow? Wow. How did Kevin do on his picks? Did anybody track that?
I have not heard.
He got the Commanders wrong.
Yeah. No, Chris has the tally going.
It'll be so interesting to see if it changes his mood. If we can try to get him on again. What if he's just not taking interviews? We lost this week.
He's in mourning.
No, I just think he's one with the team.
Oh, he
Don't
definitely
talk
is.
about my team, my quarterback being an MVP. All right, I want to get to a few more games. Speak English. Happy Monday, everybody. Ravens, Commanders, Ravens win. Kevin Durant not happy about this, but Jaden Daniels, he was impressive. This Ravens defense just no joke. Lamar's on fire. He's unstoppable. He threw for 300 yards again, making it 4 in a row as wins are concerned for Baltimore. And let's listen to the MVP 2 times over talk about the offense.
I really feel like we just proved ourselves right. Instead of just talking about it, we was about it today. Just putting points on the board. We started off slow. Even when we was scoring on those drives, I still felt like we was kind of off some way. But like I said, there's room for improvement. We just got to keep stacking.
Held their own. They stayed in the game. It was exciting. This Ravens offense is impossible to contain for a full 60 minutes. They wear you down. They get better and better as the game goes on. Dan Quinn's defense could not get them off the field after the first quarter. Literally, he could not get them off the field. Final 3 quarters, Lamar led 5 straight scoring drives, and then Baltimore ran out the clock to ice the game on the final possession. This Ravens offense hasn't just been the best, most dangerous. I said it, best in the league this season. They're on track to being one of the best offenses we've ever seen. Read it and weep, people. The Ravens put up 487 yards yesterday. They're averaging the 3rd most yards per game in NFL history. What? That's bananas. Only the 2011 Saints and the 2013 Broncos rank ahead of what we're seeing out there. Lamar, Derek Henry, Zay Flowers, they're crushing it right now. I don't know who could slow them down. They are plus 390, by the way. Over on FanDuel Sportsbook, the 2nd best odds to win the AFC. The Chiefs still the favorites, as they should be, at plus 220. But dare I say it, Hamilton, best team in the NFL are the Ravens.
They have been looking like it so far. That stat is crazy. 3rd best all time.
Why don't you just give yourself a pat on the back for finding that stat, Hammy? Why don't you just take a little victory lap and shoot some confetti and pop a bottle this morning? Come on. We got to get into the Eberflus outfit tomorrow. We'll be back.